at your son's grave.
I did not say knee deep. You are.
So
We actually put a drain, and we took out a ridge that was there so that there was no ponding taking place where the people drove back.
but if we just drained it towards that creek or river.
No, there's a pond in the very back. The moral of the story is, if you look in your phone, you all have these pictures in your phone. They were all text to your cell phones. And you can see that if this was actually aligned and not misaligned, then that would make the flow in our cemetery much better. And then you
It's
come...
a cemetery. It's not a highway. What cemetery has a flow?
They normally have a straight road and one road connects to the next. It's just
When all these
common.
roads connect, they connect to each other. They
So
bury the water lines.
we had stopped action on this road when it got to this point, which is why this bid is from 2022. We discussed these concerns at
doesn't
that
even align.
time, that we needed to look at it before we made it permanent.
So that's okay that road does not align by the lease. When you have more than enough surface to align the road, I find it extremely
That
concerning.
road right there that you're talking about aligns directly across with the one coming in.
No, I'm on the run right across. It doesn't align with it, Samuel.
Has anybody talked to Tom? I mean, does he have an opinion about, I mean, he works out there every day.
He would plow the snow around whatever it is. Other than that, the blacktop, we just fix the holes and we move on.
The point is that these concerns were all raised when we took a vote and stopped further construction on it so that it could be corrected. And then
We
nothing has been
approved
brought
the blue-
forward.
we
I'm still
approved the
speaking.
blue
If
shirts.
nothing moved forward whatsoever after that vote to halt everything. There was no discussion, there was no work session, nothing happened, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, 2 years later, you're like, oh, hey, let's finish it the way I wanted to do it in the first place, without ever addressing any of the concerns. They needed to be talked about. We have had successful work sessions where we have sat here and, weighed the options when we actually have them. But what you're doing is just pushing it
Has
forward.
anybody else gone out there and driven the road? 'Cause
I
haven't,
actually
and
said I wanted back then, as I did countless times, we should go to the cemetery and actually hold a meeting. And then people could physically see what the concerns are. I make a motion that this is tabled. I make a motion that in that motion, we go to the cemetery
Okay, but-
and we see this.
But you didn't, I mean, okay, Lori, have you gone out and driven this, have you driven the road?
This actual gravel road, I have not, but I have been out there driving around it, yes. I haven't actually driven it
I know
myself.
you have, Charlie, and I'm pretty sure Stan has. Have you had a chance? I have several times in a truck, and I haven't had any problem getting around it. And I didn't have any problem with the tree. So I guess I actually wouldn't mind talking to Rick myself to hear personally.
That's not what he told me. When he brought this up again and sent this to me again, he said, you either have to put the blacktop in or you owe him $12,000 for what's there right now.
The reason he's not talking 12,000 is because we're not changing contractors. We are going to use them because they're very economical and they're home base here in our area. Furthermore, you're looking at a road that's 563 feet versus a road that would be 750. And then we don't have to revisit this thing again. And those that may be here aren't having this exact discussion. You're putting a road so that those graves that when you're in and on this road that you're talking about, all those graves to the north, when you sell them, their tombstones face east and west because the graves run east and west, but your road runs east and west. I'd like you to tell me how you identify your mom or your dad or your son's grave when their tombstone faces either the rising or the setting sun, because that's the way the graves are laid out, and your road runs the same direction. It's
It's just a
idiocy.
connection road at the north end of it. There can be another 2 sections put on someday.
Sam, we don't have to wait and do 2 more sets. You just
All
do
right,
it
so
and be
why,
done.
stop, why then didn't you say you couldn't read blueprint?
I never said it, so you're putting words in my mouth, Samuel.
Well, we had a blueprint laying right here on this table and a small prints that I gave each one of you that had every tree marked, every grave marked, and everything.
You know
where
what?
it was gonna be.
Okay, we got a blueprint right here, and here's the road, and we got a tree on a piece of paper, but when you get out there, you find out the tree's not here, the dang tree is right there on top of your road. Mr. Davison,
It wasn't on top of the road.
it is.
He put the road exactly what was on the blueprint, and the tree never moved.
I made a motion, does anyone like to second it?
We'll second your motion.
Let's vote on his motion.
Okay, this is a motion to table the paving of the cemetery road on section F, and to have a meeting out at the
In
cemetery.
the cemetery. Might as well be the same day as the day we're going to deal with pay. Since we already are connecting our day that day, let's connect the dots.
Do you want me to put that as?
Absolutely.
In the afternoon, or
Yeah.
like right after? Okay.
And yeah, what?
Was that on June 5th?
25th.
At 1, so do you meet here first and then
We
go
meet
out
here,
there?
we talk about the payroll, and we can go there, or we have chairs in the chapel, we can go sit in the chapel and talk about payroll there.
You're all welcome.
DeShano,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Davison,
No.
Trues,
Yes.
Class.
No.
Okay, so. This electric bill that was so high, I had the county go out and look at it. This is the storm sewer, for the storm water on Linwood Road. And apparently there's a heater in there for the winter time to keep the water from freezing so the pump can run whenever it needs to. And the county that, I don't know if they go there every month, but they keep an eye on everything. And of course, they don't see the electric bills. And apparently the thermostat went to hell and the heater's been running. So they have turned the heater off completely now, and they've ordered a new control for it to fix it at the county. And I don't know if they go once a month or once every month, but they do monitor the pump to make sure it runs when it's supposed to and keeps the water moving. Questions about that?
Nothing for us to vote on, correct?
Nothing for us to vote on. They're fixing it. I put it on here because we talked about it as a bill and what it was, and I didn't know what it was. I was thinking it was sewer, but it's not the sewer, it's the stormwater. Applied images, or innovations. This, Melissa, you want to talk about this? This is a different copy machine.
Right.
And this is, copies are like half price.
Black and white, right now we pay .0167 and we go down to .0093. Color would be .07 with the new, right now we're at .1367. So, yeah, it would go down considerably.
So our other copy machine, the monthly bills, I mean, we own now the machine, so any repairs we do, I assume there's some kind of maintenance agreement on this, to buy this.
Just leasing it, I thought.
Yeah, we talked about leasing the equipment, so we don't have such a capital outlay, and then when it is at the end of its life, it's easy to get a new machine when it's time.
So leasing it without the staples would be $162.83. Is that what this is saying right here, equipment leasing?
Right.
So it'd be $162.83 a month for leasing. And then this monthly service is on top of it. Obviously, we must get a year or two of service, because it's a new machine. But then this $51 is on top of the,
That's for the monthly service, yes.
And it seems like,
how does this, I know he was here, and he took a couple months of bills that we had. How does this $400 or 400 color impressions meet up with what we're doing right now? So in this price, this 2,500 black and whites, and I'm assuming these meet up with pretty close to what we're using right now? This 400 and this 2,500?
I think we pay for all color prints, don't we? I don't think we have an allowance for color prints at all on the current one.
it says here color volume 510 and black and white volume 3,000 on our existing technology, the page before the quote.
Well, we sure get pretty good sized bills from the people.
Yeah, we tend to go over every month.
But
They're usually
that
right
could
at
be
about
changing.
150. I'm just saying. So I think what they, if I remember correctly, it was some time ago that I talked with them. Basically, they don't charge you per month for the black and white, and they settle up at the end of the year if you went beyond your amount. So at the end of the calendar year, we would get a larger bill seemingly as the settle up bill. And then each month they billed us for the color copies. And it seemed like it was the actual amount. It's not like it was an overage amount. It seemed like it was the actual amount. And that's the same one that she said tonight when we were going through bills, that she couldn't get the invoice, and she just had to print out what the balance was, so we don't even have an invoice that we could
Yeah,
double
because they're
check right now. So,
transitioning.
yeah.
And this company, I think, does something similar, only, didn't you say it was every 6 month period? Because if you don't use your allotted number in a 6 month period, you can
Right.
carry that over to the next 6 months.
Yes.
So if you have a higher volume, say in the second half of the year, you may not necessarily pay for all of it.
Where I think on the machine we got now, anything that they allot us for, you lose it at the end of the month. Or we're going home with trigger every time.
So do we have to pay the monthly service even with leasing it? That's not built into the lease payment?
This was strictly by,
This was a 5-year lease on the existing machine, and the machine was purchased for, I think, $8,000.
We would have
And then
to,
it was a 5-year.
we would have to ask, because this $51 for maintenance, I think, was if we bought it. Is that $51 added on to the lease agreement?
I think on the lease, they cover everything,
Right.
and if you purchase it, you pay the monthly service.
So it costs us roughly $2,052 for the one with the staples per
When
year.
we figured it out, it was cheaper to buy it than it was to lease it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But we talked about not needing the
Yeah, we didn't
staples.
need the staples.
Well, I'm not sure, you would know that.
Well, and that's what we
You guys,
talked,
yeah.
I mean, there isn't,
So we were
There's any
looking
reason
at,
we can't staple the stuff we're doing.
162, 'cause we don't-
because there's
But,
a big difference
I
in
mean,
price.
$9, $90 a year. It's
So,
almost, for that piece of equipment, it's almost better to pay the $9 because
I guess if you're not, yeah, if it's just leasing.
$90 is not a big chunk. Actually,
$9,
$9, so actually I'm wrong, it would be $108 a year, but.
so according to this, it's a 63-month lease. So that would be 5 years, 3 months. And although it doesn't explicitly state that you guys believe that the lease payment is going to take care of any service, and that additional monthly service is
Yeah.
only if you purchase, right? But we can't confirm that at this time?
Yeah, Molly probably could, but I
Okay.
can't.
All right, so we still have a little time, right? Because the other
Not much.
contract isn't up until July, or is it the end of June? End of June, or is it the end
The
of July?
maintenance contract?
Yeah, the one currently that we have.
I think it's just month by month by month.
Well, the
It's
ones right now-
changed to month now. So why don't we just confirm that that will be our actual outlay if we decide to go with the lease? and then add it to our June 25th, because that'll be a pretty easy discussion once we have that for sure, rather than having to revamp the whole vote if we find out that that's not the case. Does that sound fair?
That would work. Is that your motion?
That is my motion.
So a motion to table it to the July's meeting.
June 25th meeting.
Oh,
We can do
for
it as
that
part of
one.
the special,
Okay, gotcha.
so that we have confirmation about what the final cost will be with that monthly service fee.
Did you get a second on that?
I don't think so.
I'll second. It's important.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So, on the, well, let's see here. I might turn to the pages here for some reason. We have a fire millage that needs to be renewed. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
And this is for the resolution for us to renew the fire millage and put it on the November ballot.
This one here, November.
It'll be on the November ballot because we sent out what what it would read on the ballot right here on the second page. So,
Make a motion for our fire millage resolution 2024-09.
I'll second it.
Where do you get these numbers?
Right here,
Right off the top of the millage.
resolution. That's the resolution number.
Oh, I didn't go far enough. Sorry, thank you.
That's okay.
And then this is just approving it to put it on the ballot
Yeah.
for the people to vote on.
And did you second?
I
I'm
second.
sorry, I went into a panic not finding the numbers. You want that as a,
Yeah, we're gonna do a roll call on that one.
About money.
Campbell,
Yes.
Davison,
Yes?
Cruz,
Yes.
Pass,
Yes.
DeShano.
Yes.
Building permit fees. Believe it or not, we are using the 1993 building permit fee that was, and Dave, who is our temporary building inspector, says everybody is using the 1997 ones.
So we're using 93.
We're using 93, and he thinks we should be using the 1997 ones, and there hasn't been no new since then.
So we're talking about what kind of a percentage of difference here?
It is a
The
percentage.
difference he has
The
is
difference is
these.
over here on the side.
So some went up, some went down.
Yeah.
Actually, quite a few of them went down.
Looks like they all went down. The ones that he's got marked went down.
This one is in parentheses like it went down, but it's got a plus sign, so, for whatever that's worth.
But anyhow, I think upgrading from 4 years, from 93 to 97, is something we should do, at least because we're in the 21st century, so I mean, I thought we were at the newest one, but according to Dave, we weren't.
So this is for brand new build, ground up.
Yeah. It's for
And-
building permits, yes.
For
But
This
it's
is
for all.
everywhere.
For all,
That's-
for all,
okay, that's the one
isn't that residential?
Residential.
Yes, that's residential.
So this is the amount for any job that is done, okay? And at this point, we are still taking self-report of the value of the job,
That has to change.
right?
No, Dave,
No.
Dave, doing it different?
yep, he reviews it all.
Yeah.
We, at this point, he has us just taking the application, not taking any cash at the time, telling the customer, the resident, that our building inspector will look it over, at that time determine the value,
Value.
and then tell us how much it'll cost, and he'll let them know, and then they can come and pay us.
Much better system.
It
It
is,
should have
but
went through the board. Speaking of which, our temporary building inspector, was there ever a vote on that of the board to appoint somebody else, even in a temporary capacity, or was that just a decision that was made by one person?
He took over the position when Dick had the stroke, and he's only willing to stay until we find somebody. He put it in the newspaper, I gave him till the 15th to send in applications. We only have 3 at this moment.
Okay, so my point is that if we're appointing a temporary building inspector, just like the previous building inspector, that had to be an appointment of the board, and that didn't happen. Even if it's in a temporary capacity, it has to be a vote of the board to appoint somebody, just like we had to do with the zoning administrator, just like we had to do with anybody else, just like we'll have to do when it comes to the fire chief position. These things have to come before the board, and that didn't happen. So I'm curious as to how we can even authorize paying him at this point without a vote of the board, because the board has to vote to expend money.
Well, we haven't paid him anything yet.
Well, I noticed that, but I thought maybe I should say something since we've had no vote
And
and
there's
we have to
not a
vote
lot
for
of
money.
building inspectors out there that's willing to take the job.
Yeah.
And when Dick had his stroke,
We were in pickle.
we were
Yeah,
in a pickle.
I understand. My
Yeah.
point is, we have to do
So-
it legally, so there has to be a vote in order for us to expend money, including paying somebody that's appointed temporarily. There has
So
to be a
at
vote
this
for
immediate
that. So-
second, I would like to make a motion. My motion would be that Dave DeGrow is appointed our temporary building inspector, retroactive to the date of Dick Sabias's stroke. He will be responsible for all open building permits
I'll second it.
and issuing new ones. Do we need to establish the rate of pay since that was something, or is that a separate motion? Because he does not want to be paid as the previous person. Legal?
You can make it part of the same motion.
So, since Dave has commented that he would accept 75%, then that would be
And he
his
gets-
pay would be the 75% with 50% on the issue of the permit and 50% on the,
50% on the rough end and 50% on the final.
bingo.
50% on the rough end and 50% on the final inspection. So that was a change to the motion. Does your second approve that change?
Yes.
you know, 50% rough end, 50% of the final.
Yes.
I think it's just, what's the 75%?
75% is how much the building permit is.
So $1,000
50% of
permit,
the 75.
he gets $750.
Oh, gotcha,
Half
thank
of
you.
it.
Now it all,
75%.
I'm sorry, that was like, huh?
There was a lot of percentages
Oh,
there.
permit, okay, now I totally, sort of get it.
So,
So,
go and do the roll
Okay.
call first.
Davidson,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
And then I would like to make a motion that our building permit fees go from the 1997 UBC,
United Building Code.
so the 1993s go to the 1997 UBC for Coquitlam Township.
I will second that.
Cruz,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Davidson.
Yes. So let's talk a minute about this laptop. The county bought us a laptop. I didn't get these in an email today, but there it is in a nutshell. The county bought us a laptop for the elections, and this first page speaks of what they